How'd you know I didn't get
So suddenly my mechanic,
I was
suddenly
stripping
my
earlier.
mechanic became 18 years old earlier.
I think it is already anyway.
I don't think we get stripped.
This is not 18
might be
plus
someone
now.
under the age of
Not
18
supposed to be.
It's bad.
Oh, it
It's
might be
funny,
now.
people, everybody here is under 18.
Okay. Are you guys ready?
We're ready.
I don't read.
Read on.
Is there a microphone stand over here?
I just walked in. Can I get
Yeah, your hand.
There's another mic. That's another mic. You want me to be Mike's name?
I'll be
Well, you can't. You're be acting.
Yeah, you can't be
You're an actor. You're us.
I'm the reader, so why aren't I reading?
I'm the reader. You're the part of us, the reader.
Oh, you never said that.
You're the protagonist.
You don't pay attention, do you? There you go. Thank you.
It's fresh.
Alrighty. That's a weird way to start.
They took their clothes off.
And on your right are the remains of the Hippodrome, where the Olympic horse and chariot races were held. You're not acting yet. Nothing's going on. It's early morning, and you and Felix, your pain-in-the-neck little cousin, are following a guide through the ruins of Olympia. You need a little cousin. Little cousin?
Who's little?
He needs a little cousin.
Little. Oh,
Little cousin. and
Okay,
they're
little cousin.
They're following a guide.
who's guide? All right,
There
guide.
you go. Through the ruins at Olympia, the site of the ancient Olympic Games in Western Greece. You've looked forward to this summer vacation for a long time, and you've been especially eager to visit Olympia. You'd expect to see glittering temples and impressive stadiums, but as you look around, all you see is a jumble of fallen columns. Where's the fallen columns?
Are you back at the beginning of the Are you back at the beginning?
Ah, this is how we started my
It's
panel.
falling, not falling. It's falling, not falling. Get it right.
And some wild olive trees.
For a while.
Is this really where the great athletes of the ancient world sought glory and honor on the playing field? The tour guide announces a break for taking pictures,
We're gonna take a break so you can take some pictures.
and your group splits up and wanders off in different directions. You decide you want to look around by yourself and avoid Felix. He broke your camera on the first day of the trip, and ever since then he's been a real pest. You walk off in the direction of a low hill. Where's my low hill? There. You know from your tour guide that this is the Hill of Cronus. Spectators at the ancient Olympics stood on this hill to watch the athletic competitions. You figure it would be a good place for you to view the entire Olympic plain. As you climb, you notice what looks like an entrance to a cave up ahead. There you go.
Oh.
The opening is small. Just big enough for you to walk through. You move closer and decide to take a look inside. You walk into the darkness of the cave. Suddenly, you feel an icy chill that makes you shudder. A sharp wind blows sand into your face. And you cover your eyes from the stinging blast. Then, just as abruptly as they began, the wind and chill are gone. Maybe coming into the cave wasn't such a good idea. You turn around and walk back outside, but something's wrong. Instead of ancient ruins, you see a cluster of column stone buildings at the base of the hill you just climbed. At the center of the Olympic plain, an ivory white temple gleams in the sun. It looks a lot like the Pantheon, the massive marble ruin you'd seen in Athens earlier in your trip. But this temple looks almost new. There are dozens of buildings of various sizes, and the grounds between them look green and well cared for. Amazed, you turn back to look at the cave. The opening in the side of the hill has disappeared.
Bum, bum, bum.
Amazed, you... Oops, I already read that. What happened? Is it possible that the cave has somehow transported you back to ancient Greece? Before you have a chance to look around some more, two men dressed in togas approach you. Before you have a chance... you look down and discover that you're dressed the same way. Hurry! The bearded man on the left says to you. The procession to the Temple of Zeus is about to begin. He points to a large group of people gathered in the distance. Surely you don't want to miss it. You're excited at the chance to stay in ancient Greece, yet frightened. How will you get back to your own time? You see an entrance to a cave in the distance, but it looks quite different from the one you came through. Can you risk staying in ancient Greece for a while before trying to find your way back home? If you decide to stay for the procession, turn to page 10. If you decide to investigate the cave entrance right away, page 58. So audience, who wants to stick around?
Stick around!
Who wants to investigate the cave? Procession. Cave.
Here, the people who wanted the cave weren't very enthusiastic.
You nod to the men in togas and begin making your way down the hill to where the athletes have gathered for the procession. As you walk, you notice that everyone seems to be having a lot of fun. A pair of jugglers toss apples high in the air.
A pear!
As the watching crowds gasp in amazement. A smaller group surrounds a singer who strums a string lyre and sings a song about Hercules. The music sounds tuneless to you, but you applaud with the others when the song is over, just to be polite. The ancient Olympics aren't nearly as solemn as you had thought. A peddler tries to sell you a wreath made from an olive branch, telling you, "It's just like the ones to be worn by the Olympic champions." You find it hard to believe that souvenirs were sold more than 2,000 years ago. "The tour of Olympia is about to begin," a gray-haired man calls out. "Come and see all the sights and learn about the athletes and have made the Olympics famous," he cries. "Mine is the only complete tour of Olympia." It might be helpful to find out more about the Olympics and learn your way around, but maybe you should continue on to where the athletes have gathered for a procession to the Temple of Zeus. If you take the tour, page 55. Procession, page 68. Tour!
Sure.
Procession!
Tour! Yeah! It goes louder. Tour.
No.
I was louder. I was honestly out louder than everyone.
You arrive at a fountain just outside the Olympic grounds,
Fountain. Who's fountain?
where the athletes have formed a long line. At the front of the group are stern-faced men in purple robes who wear crowns of wild olive branches. They seem to be in charge, so you figure that one of these must be officials of some sort. One of the men waves and a fanfare of trumpets blares out. As you step back to join the large crowd that is gathered by the side of the road, the procession begins to move. Dozens of trumpeteers file past, playing a stirring march. Next come the athletes, divided into groups according to the sport in which they will participate. First come the wrestlers and boxers. Then come the runners, looking tall and graceful. A group of strong-armed discus throwers marches by next, followed by teams of horses pulling chariots.
Horse chariot.
As the next group approaches, a bald man standing near you says, "Why haven't you joined the procession to the Temple of Zeus? Here come the youths now. Hurry, take your place." There must be some more sort of mistake, you think. Is this man confusing you with one of the athletes? I've never done a push-up in my life. You turn and see that a group of boys and girls really is approaching. Imagine being able to compete in the Olympics. All of your friends back home would turn green with envy. After they locked you up in an insane asylum for telling you that you went to have a time and participating in the Olympics. You think that you might be able to slip into the procession without being noticed. What will happen to somebody if you notices that you don't belong? With just a moment's hesitation, you step into the road and join the procession. The procession winds its way through Olympia. On either side of the road, cheering crowds chant the names of their city-states and their favorite athletes. As you walk by them, you feel proud to be taking part in such an important event. The procession stops as you reach the tallest and most impressive building on the Olympian field. It is the column building you thought looked like Parthenon. You look inside the building and see a gigantic statue of a seated god. This must be the Temple of Zeus. Yeah, we need a chair.
Oh, there's a chair. Oh.
No, chairs don't count.
Chair.
Cheers
We
to
need
you.
a human chair. There you go. Better. One of the purple-robed men who had led the procession stands before the temple.
She's a purple. Purple? Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm purple.
She's very indignant about her purple status.
Audience.
He directs the athletes to take an oath pledging to compete honestly and the best of their ability.
I do.
You raise your right hand and take the oath. The group of athletes begins to break up, but you're not sure what to do next. You see a boy about your age and you decide to talk to him. Obviously you know how to speak Greek all of a sudden for no reason.
Well, they spoke English, one of the two.
After you introduce yourself, the boy tells you he is Athos, from the city-state of Hyria, in northern Greece. Where do you come from, he asks. Americos, you say after a moment's hesitation. Americos, says Athos. I've never heard of that city-state. Is it near Athens? No, you answer, it's in the west. Over by Mexicos and Canadas. Athos shrugs and explains that he is on his way to register for the competition. I've come to Olympia to wrestle, he says. What are you here for? A dozen thoughts go through your head. What sport should you say? You're strong for your age, you might do very well at wrestling, but then again, you've always loved horses, and you'll surely never have another chance to enter a chariot race. If you say wrestling, 88, chariot racing, 44. Wrestling! Chariot racing it is.
What, is naked wrestling for you guys?
Are you sure you don't want to torture this guy?
Not
with naked
Wrestling!
Wrestling!
It's too late, you guys already picked horses.
It's your decision!
As this guy said, naked wrestling with horses.
Go to another book for that.
For chariot racing, you must head to the hippodrome, says Athos. He points in the direction of the race course, and you wish each other good luck as you part. As you walk, you pass hundreds of people who have come to the festival from all parts of Greece.
I'm touching.
Everyone seems to be talking about a different competition. Listening to their conversations, you can't help feel excited about the chance to compete in the Olympics. Just as the hippodrome comes in sight, a huge parade of bulls forces you off the path. They're chained.
Not ball him.
They chase me off the path, don't trample me! I have to be in the Olympics!
Rabid bulls.
This isn't the running of the bulls, people.
Not Spain!
Do you see a red scarf?
They're colorblind.
They're chained together in long double columns and are led by four very solemn-looking men in purple robes. Where are they going, you ask a woman standing nearby. You asked the woman, you didn't mug the woman.
I needed a word to ask, okay?
Guys, will somebody lose a Sailor Scout button?
She's an it.
Me.
We're sitting here at a...
Where are they going, you ask the woman standing nearby.
The bulls are to be sacrificed!
The woman replies. You're an old woman, by the way. She explains at the start of each festival, the Heliodoniace, the high priest of Olympia, led 100 bulls to the temple of Zeus. A sacred rite is held in front of the altar, and the bulls are killed to honor Zeus, the king of the gods. Later, the meat will be eaten at the victory celebration, she adds. You remind yourself to make sure not to pass the temple of Zeus for the next few hours. You're sure it wouldn't do your appetite much good to see 100 bulls being slaughtered.
How old is this kid? Like 12?
Yeah, basically. When the last bull is passed, you walk a bit farther and arrive at the hippodrome. A rectangular dirt field.
I swear, if it's not a rectangle.
You
A rectangular dirt field flanked by a grassy embankment. There you go. Your heart starts to pound as you realize that this is where you'll be racing a chariot in just a few days.
Days.
At the near end of the race course, a crowd of people is standing in front of an open-air building. This must be the place to register for the chariot race, you think. But when you ask where to find a chariot to drive the race, the man at the registration desk starts to laugh. You're a man, deeper voice. The chariot owners at Olympia selected their drivers months ago, he said. You can't enter a race now. Disappointed, you turn away from the desk. But just as you're about to leave, a man with a gray beard and gold-striped toga calls you over to him. I am in great need, the man declares after you sit down next to him. You must help me. Do you know what you're doing to my arthritis? Making me down on the ground like this, you want me to You ask the man how you can help him, and he continues. My name is Leon. That is not a Greek name. And I come from Ellis, not far from here. The chariot I own was victorious in the last Olympics. A very wealthy and powerful man named Demonicus. Now that's a cool name. I'm going to name my penis that.
I thought his name was Penis.
It's tattooed on there.
It's like, behold, Demonicus. And then, I need, you know, those greeting cards when you open them up and they play the music? I need one, right here, I just tap it, and he goes, dun, dun, dun. A powerful man named Demonicus owned a chariot as a finished second. After the race, some of his henchmen seized my beautiful daughter, Marissa, and carried her off. Demonicus swore that the only way I could get her back. It's like old school villain crap right there. You want to tie her up and throw her on some railroad tracks while you're at it.
Didn't have any.
This is farther back.
The only way I could get her back was to beat him again in the chariot race at the next festival. Otherwise, he will marry her and take her far, far away. Well, the dude's rich. It can't be that bad.
Well, his name's Demonicus.
For 4 years, I've waited to see Marissa again. I bought the finest horses and hired Nikos of Sparta, the most famous charioteer in the world. I spared no expense to make certain I would win the race the day after tomorrow. But Demonicus is very crafty. This morning I found out that Demonicus offered my charioteer 4 times the amount of money I was going to pay him. Now he will race for Demonicus. Second infatuated this dude. He said his name 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7
What's his name again? I didn't catch that.
You mean your penis's name?
Yes.
Yeah, that's not a subtle man.
Gentlemen, behold. I gotta add that to my hentai down.
Oh my god.
Oh dear God. That's terrible, you say to Leon. But how can I help you? I am in an awful predicament, he answers sadly. If I compete fairly and race my own chariot against Nikos, I will surely lose. There is no way an old man like me could win against the best charioteer in the world. And all the best drivers have already agreed to race for other chariot owners. Although it shames me to say it, I'm afraid the only way to get my daughter back is to completely unfair. Somehow I must win that race. The only way is to make sure Nikos loses. I think I can arrange that if I can get into the stables unnoticed and sabotage Demonicus' chariot. I'm not gonna say that.
Do it!
For the sake of my daughter, will you help me? You're not sure what to say. On one hand, you understand why Leon, I'm gonna just call him Leonidas, that's just not right, is so desperate. But he wants to cheat, and that's wrong. On the other hand, it wasn't fair to